Hey John, it's February 17th. It is a Thursday, and I'm coming to you right after finishing a focus group about college websites. Now, the first best part of focus groups is always free food and drinks. But the second best part is the part where everyone there, it's usually like in the first 30 or 45 minutes, a switch flips and everyone there takes whatever they're being focus grouped about way too seriously. Like, I've done a focus group about frozen pizza before, and at first it was just like, yeah, we like pizza, whatever, it's a bunch of teenage boys sitting around a room. But then, like, 45 minutes in, like, it was important that these market researchers learned what we thought about frozen pizza and what we liked. Like, they had to know, because if they didn't know, something horrible was going to happen. Like, oh no, do they want DiGiorno or do they want Freshetta? Oh! And then the bomb goes off because they didn't know. But thank the Lord for focus groups, because now companies will know how to stop the teams of hungry teenage boys from setting off their bombs because they weren't fed the proper frozen pizza. I actually have to run to a meeting right now, and I'm going to finish more to this video, but this clip is happening a little before 7, and the next clip will be happening later. So I'm back from my meeting. It's about 8 now. I'm a little tired, and I'm not going to lie, I lost a lot of my creative drive at this meeting. Anyways, though, I will get on to my video today. Serious, not as funny today. I've been reading some of Ernest's short stories lately, and I read this one. It's really famous, you know. Not most of them are famous, but it's called The Short Happy Life of Francis Macomber, or Macomber. I don't necessarily know the pronunciation, but I'm going to assume it's Francis Macomber. And it was really good. I think I'll tell you about it. The story starts, like most of Hemingway, kind of in the middle of the action. And basically, once you kind of have an idea of what's happening, there's Francis, then his wife Marjorie, or Margaret, and the guide, Wilson, and then there's a couple like gun bearers, but they're in Africa on safari. And they have been tracking various wild creatures and hunting them, but the chief hunted creature is a lion. But the story picks up, and they found a lion at some point, like right before this has happened, but I guess in the hunt, Francis showed his true colors, and he fled from the lion at some point or another and was frightened, and Wilson kills the lion. And so now Margaret is ashamed of her husband, her cowardly husband, because, you know, it's really, like, bad when you flee from a lion, because, you know, you're a total coward if you flee from a lion. There's no other, like, sign of bravery than killing a lion, because you can't, you are completely a coward if you flee from a lion. You know, just a giant man-eating beast, nothing, no big deal or anything, just a lion or whatever. So, as you can tell, the stage is set for a situation where if he doesn't kill a lion, he's gonna be a coward, because that's how Hemingway was, and he was manly. So they talk, they're like, oh, we're going to find some bison tomorrow, and there's some really interesting looks in on, like, the thoughts of the different characters and how they view each other and all these things like that. You would really like it. But they go out the next day, and they actually find a lion. There's been a lion roaring in the night. It's kept Francis up because he's scared of the roars. And they go out there, and they see this lion, so they're like, oh, we have to get it. Well, Francis jumps out of the car because they're riding around the safari, to kill the lion, because I guess it's against the safari rules to shoot from the car, or the animal might charge the car or something. I didn't really completely understand that. But he he goes to shoot the lion when the lion's not looking, and the safety is still clicked on. And by the time he gets the safety off, the lion's running away. So he gets a couple shots off, but the lion runs into like a thicket of trees and is hiding in there. So now they're going to have to go in after the lion. See, the main thing is that the lion was hit and he's wounded. And that's actually worse because a wounded lion will hide a little bit more delicately and charge faster than a healthy lion. So this is more dangerous, but they're going to wait for the lion to get sick, you know, to die a little bit. And so they go in to go after the lion. They got all their guns ready. While they're going in, the lion charges out, and like his wife stays in the safari car, and they're down, you know, out, and he runs. When the lion comes, he runs, and the wife can see the whole scene. And then Wilson and the gun bearers like kill the lion. And when he gets back to the car, the wife won't even look at him. He tries to hold her hand. She won't even hold it. And it goes to this interesting description of how Frances knows she's just done with him, but she's been done with him before. But she'll never really leave him because he has too much money, and he knows that she knows she's a little too old to try and find someone else right now. So it's this really interesting outlook in like the sadness of the situation, but how it's still like nothing has really changed. He's still just this coward, but now I guess he's a super coward. So he can't really live this down. At night he's having nightmares about the lion and everything and the lion charging. And he wakes up from a nightmare and he's sitting there and he notices his wife isn't in the cot with him, and she comes in. And there's been descriptions and allusions the whole time that she found Wilson attractive and blah blah blah, and Wilson thought she was a beautiful woman. So she comes in and he's like, "Where have you been?" She's like, "Just getting some air." And basically Francis is like, "Yeah, whatever, getting some air, you mean getting some Wilson," you know what I'm saying? And they kind of get in a, well, they don't get in a fight because the wife just the whole time, the wife is actually really, she's horrible. And she just like sweetly is just like, "Be quiet, honey, I'm tired," and all this kind of stuff. And Francis is just, you know, he just can't take it, you know what I mean? So that sets the scene for the next morning. So the next morning, he gets up and he's doing breakfast, and Wilson's just like, "Oh, how are you? How'd you sleep?" And Francis makes some off-the-cuff remark, you know, and then it's this internal thought of Wilson, like, "Oh, his wife must have woken when he woke up, or when she came back," and all this, and it's actually kind of really funny, just this thing of Wilson, like, "Well, whatever." I mean, kind of has this funny description of how he's just kind of used to the sporting women, the wives or whatever, and he always has a double bunk just in case. And I thought that was hilarious how he's got like a double-sized cot or whatever just in case, you know, he's used to it. So they're getting ready to go hunt. They're going to go hunt bison, wild African bison, I guess. And they're hunting, and they see a bison, and they're like, "Oh, there's like 3 of them." So they're like driving the car like crazy, doing all this crazy stuff, jumping out, shooting. And this was a really funny thing. Maybe some reference to some demasculating images here, where whenever Francis is shooting this first bison, he shoots like all these shots, and then it finally goes down. And then the next bison, he like shoots and misses, and then Wilson kills it in like 1 hit, and then like Francis shoots the 3rd bison like tons, and it still doesn't go down. Then Wilson kills it in 1 hit. You know, it's just like Wilson is like a one shot, you know, getting everything done. And I thought that was kind of a funny little commentary that I'm sure Hemingway threw in there for the demasculization. But so they're going to look at the bison kills, and they go back, and then one of the gun bearers who stayed with the first bison is like freaking out in Swahili, and Wilson's like, "Ah, crap, well the bison got up and got away. He ran into that bush over there." But something has clicked in Francis. Like, he's brave again. Just something about the chase and the shooting, everything, like, he's brave. Not brave again, he is brave for the first time. And he is like, it's like this, it's incredible, because he's just like, all of a sudden a switch has been turned, and it actually, like, has this really interesting couple sentences that describes how his wife is almost frightened by him, like, she's almost scared by something about him, because he's so different. And it had discussed before how Wilson almost kind of despised this guy at these, like, it has this really interesting passage about, like, this oddness of the American man, where they aren't really a man, they're still just a boy in a 50-year-old body. And they're these childish, done everything for them kind of, babies and that kind of thing. But now he's proud of him, and he makes this very, moving statement about being brave and seizing the day and seizing the moment. So they go in after the bison, and Francis is getting butterflies, but they aren't butterflies of fear this time. He is like pumped. He's excited. He's brave now. So they take their guns, they take the guns they want, leave the rest with the car or whatever, and they go down there to the bison, and they're waiting for it. And then, like, one of the gun bearers kind of goes in the brush, and then he says something out, and Wilson's like, oh, okay, and Francis is like, what? And Wilson's like, well, the gun bearer said that the bison is just dead in there. And boom, before anyone knows it, the dude comes running back out. Bison chased him, because I guess the bison was playing dead. And he's running out, he's got his horns or whatever, his big horns, dangerous. And so they all start shooting, and, like, Wilson had told, Francis where the special shots were. And Francis is a pretty good shot. He just kind of has nerves, but he is a good shot. So he's shooting, but he's, like, shooting a little too high, and he's shooting the horns of the bison. And everyone else is shooting at the bison. Like, Wilson had dodged to the side to try and shoot its shoulders to take it down. But Francis is brave. Like, he is so brave and firm. He doesn't even move. He just stands there continuing firing, shooting, trying to get a nose shot on the bison to just kill it. And he's aiming right there, about to do it, and all of a sudden it just says he has a white flash in his head, and that's the last thing he ever knew. Turns out, when the bison had charged out, the wife had taken one of the guns out from the car, trying to shoot at the bison too, I guess, or something, missed, and, like, blown her husband's head up, like, just shot him in the head. And so the story ends with Wilson basically just being, he's mad at the wife. He's like, oh, well, couldn't you have just poisoned him? That's how they do them in England. And I'm actually gonna read you the final little passage here, because it's really good. Francis Macomber lay now, face down, not 2 yards from where the buffalo lay on his side, and his wife knelt over him, with Wilson beside her. I wouldn't turn him over, Wilson said. The woman was crying hysterically. I'd get back in the car, Wilson said. Where's the rifle? She shook her head, her face contorted. The gun bearer picked up the rifle. Leave it as it is, said Wilson. Then, go get Abdullah so that he may witness the manner of the accident. He knelt down, took a handkerchief from his pocket, and spread it over Francis Macomber's crew-cropped head where it lay. The blood sank into the dry, loose earth. Wilson stood up and saw the buffalo on his side, his legs out, his thinly haired belly crawling with ticks. Hell of a good bull, his brain registered automatically. A good 50 inches or better. Better. He called to the driver and told him to spread a blanket over the body and stay by it. Then he walked over to the motor car where the woman sat crying in the corner. That was a pretty thing to do, he said in a toneless voice. He would have left you, too. Stop it, she said. Of course it's an accident, he said. I know that. Stop it, she said. Don't worry, he said. There will be a certain number of unpleasantness, but I will have some photographs taken that will be very useful at the inquest. There's the testimony of the gun bearers and the driver, too. You're perfectly all right. Stop it, she said. There's a hell of a lot to be done, he said, and I'll have to send a truck off to the lake to wireless for a plane to take the 3 of us into Nairobi. Why didn't you poison him? That's what they do in England. Stop it, stop it, stop it, the woman cried. Wilson looked at her with his flat, blue eyes. I'm through now, he said. I was a little angry. I'd begun to like your husband. Oh, please stop it, she said. Please stop it. That's better, Wilson said. Please is much better. Now I'll stop. So, as you can tell, Hemingway again explores the interesting emotions of how people act, and I just love how the story is called The Brief and Happy Life of Francis Macomber, because that was his brief and happy life right there. He was a young man, but that time he was brave. It was his brief and happy life. John, see you tomorrow, bud.